welcome to Brimwood Farm and the live stream on Saturday night. It's the 19th and this week has been really busy. So first I'm going to give you a load of updates of what's been going on over the past week and then we'll just move into the normal chat and catch up and Q&A and stuff like that. So the first thing this week, which has been really good, is my grow lights came. So you can see actually over here, that is the reflection of the grow lights. So I didn't want to buy a grow light system because they're quite expensive and, you know, money's tight, so I wanted to make up something. So I went to IKEA. IKEA have got like metal outside shelving for, I think it's £9.95, and I use them in my greenhouse. So I decided, well, I'm sure they have 3 shelves, so I thought I could maybe rig up a grow system somehow. So I went onto eBay, and with the help of a couple of other people, selected some grow lights. They actually came in a strip and they're adhesive, so there wasn't any drilling involved. You literally just stick them. So it was £13 for 4 strips, and I basically got 2 shelves with grow lights. And I'm testing some cuttings, I'm testing some little apple mint plants, and I'm testing some basil seedlings, some cinnamon basil seedlings. So you'll be able to see the grow light system on tomorrow's smallholding diaries. I've done a quick, 1-minute video on it, but I'll do something in the future about that, for a longer video as well, just so I can show you the system that I've set up, just if it works. I mean, it might all fail and go horribly wrong because I've never used grow lights indoors before. This is just a test, and I want to kind of work out how it works because I would like to start doing some microgreens, and I would like to do some more salady stuff throughout the winter as well. So that's the first thing, the grow lights. The second thing is, as well as the grow lights, the thornless blackberries arrived. Woohoo! So if you're part of Brimwood Farm's community group, you'll know that I've been doing a lot more pickling and preserving this year, and I'm picking a ton of blackberries. And so I got sent some thornless varieties, which I made a video of yesterday. It's about growing thornless blackberries. And I'm really excited to see how they do and get them out into the garden. So that's been another great thing that I'm looking forward to. The other thing is I've been hatching this week, and there's been some ups and there's been some downs. So you'll know that I was doing some quails. So I had 26 quail eggs in the incubator. They were due to hatch on Wednesday. Wednesday was day 17, and one came out and nothing else came, and I was getting a bit worried, and then another one came out, and I was thinking, well, 2 out of 26, this is a bit bad, and eventually 8 came out. However, there was a horrible accident. The last chick to come out, so the 8th chick to come out, got stuck. It was quite a feeble little thing, and it got stuck under a load of other eggs. And so I had to make the decision to very quickly open the incubator, because these incubators don't keep humidity at all, so I have to be really quick. So I made the decision to quickly open it, and my dog's just making a nest in the furniture over there. So I quickly opened the incubator, I rescued the chick, I shoved the tray back in, and one of the chicks had jumped over the edge of the tray to the end of the incubator, and I squashed it. And it was heartbreaking and horrible. So I won't be doing that again. So I actually only have 7 chicks. So that was day 17. I was using an app called HatchaBatch, and it was pointed out to me that actually instead of starting at day 0, it jumps immediately to day 1. So I was getting anxious because I had 26 eggs due to hatch on day 17, and it was day 17. But actually, because it's that head, when it starts at day 17, it's actually not at day 17 yet, because you still need to go the full day through. So we ended up with 8 chicks. With 7 chicks. I did an ectopsy, and there were loads of deadened shells. So I'm not entirely sure what happened. I think there were 6 deadened shells. They hadn't fully absorbed their yolk. A couple of them had pipped internally, but not externally. So I need to work out what went wrong. I have a feeling the thermometer might have been off, because these are very, very simple Brinsea incubators. They don't have any gauges. They don't have any thermometer inside. They don't have a hygrometer inside. I had to buy them, and they were stuck in there, but I think they might have failed a little bit. So it could have been a humidity issue, it could have been a temperature issue. So the silver lining is I have 7 beautiful chicks, and the extra silver lining is I've put on another 29 eggs. Don't tell anybody. And I've ordered another thermometer because, so you should incubate them at 37.5 degrees. I had one thermometer that was always wrong. It was 3 degrees higher, so I set it. It gets set at 40.5. Now against it, the other one should be reading 37.5, but it wasn't. It was actually reading higher. So I think I had the temperature on too low. So I've ordered another thermometer to check. So that's that. I've also been canning. So over here we call it bottling. Over there in America and stuff you call it canning. So I'm finally trying to do more preserves and get going with preserving fruit and stuff like that. And I kind of realised why lots of people don't do it now, because it takes forever. I'm going to show you pears. I have 3 bottles of these pears and it took me hours. I ended up just stewing the rest and putting them in the freezer. I'm probably going to do some more. I'm going to get some smaller bottles because these were really difficult to get into the oven because I don't have a water bath, so I use the oven method. Now the other problem with the oven method is you have to leave the tops open and a lot of the syrup evaporated and spilled over the side. So there was an issue with that. But you know, it's the first canning I've ever done. I've got 3 bottles of pears. I'm going to do some more. So we'll see how we go. And then the final thing that I really need to tell you about is Barry and Barry's babies. So Barry's babies are due to hatch, well, they were due to hatch today, but then as I said with the Hatch Batch app, this is day 21 on the Hatch Batch, but it's probably a day late. So technically the day 21 doesn't start until midnight. So another 2 hours. Now one chick pipped 2 days ago and came out yesterday. So that was an eager beaver and it's out. And then there is another chick with a pip. There's another egg with a pip. And if you listen really carefully, there's tapping. Now I don't know whether that tapping is from that same egg with the tiny pip or whether it's from another egg. Fingers crossed it's from another egg, because I'm really worried that because the quail's mucked up, I might have mucked up this batch of Barry's as well. They were all alive when we went into lockdown, and there are 10 eggs in there, so only to get 2 out would be a bit of a disaster, especially as I want to get as many pullets this year as possible so that next year I can select the pullets I want to breed back to Barry and line breed them for that colour. So I'm really hoping that it works, because it would be a bit of a disaster otherwise. I mean, it's only August, there is still time to put some more eggs in if it is a disaster, but fingers crossed. I really don't want to have screwed up this batch as well. And obviously I am getting that extra thermometer sent to me, so that should arrive this coming week so I can check the temperatures to make sure these incubators haven't gone wrong, because I'm a bit worried that I might have mucked up the incubators. As I say, they're simple, they're Octo 10s, so you can fit, so basically they're just a long tube with a plastic tray that slides in from one end, and they fit 10 large chicken eggs, or 27 quail eggs, or I've got about 12 bantam eggs in each. But yeah, they're no frills, no whistles. They haven't got a digital display. They don't even come with a thermometer. So you kind of have to know a little bit what you're doing and check. The only way to check the humidity is right is to take the exam, candle them, and look at the air sac and stuff. So we'll see how we go. So that is the updates from this week. You'll see a lot of what I've talked about I have filmed, and it will be coming out tomorrow in tomorrow's small holding diaries. So check that out. Check out those thornless blackberries as well. And if you haven't seen it already, check out this past week's chicken check-in, where we were over in New England with some amazing chickens, and I'm really excited about next week's chicken check-in as well. I've got an awesome chap from North England coming on. He is super passionate about his chickens. He knows a lot of stuff as well, so I can't wait for you guys to meet him. So let's see who's in the chat. So I don't know if Jeff's still here, but hi Jeff. I'm doing really well, thanks. And I hope your eggs, Jeff has ordered some winner dot eggs. So I hope those winner dot eggs have arrived. And I know I think they have arrived. I think I saw it on the Brimwood Farms community group they've arrived and you're popping them into the incubator. So fingers crossed, we like chickies. And if you do come across to the Brimwood Farms community group, you'll see there's a lot of people in there that love chickens. There's a lot of chicken videos. There's a lot of cute little silky chickens and bantams and things like that. Hi, Active Rose. Welcome to the channel. So that's kind of what we've been getting up to. I've got a house full this weekend. I'm dog sitting, so I've got 5 dogs in, so it's kind of crazy at the moment. So we've got a Labrador, a Norwegian Boohund, a Springer Spaniel Jack Russell Cross, and my 2 staffs. So it's a bit mental, although it's quite late at the moment, so everybody's kind of chilled out. Hello, Brian. Welcome. So yeah. So that's my week. It's been a busy week. It's been a good week. There's been lots of things going on. Obviously, it's been a sad week as well with that chick that I accidentally killed. And I also lost another one of my ex battery hens. So I rehomed 5 Red Rock battery hens in June. And I've had ex battery hens before, and they've lasted 3 or 4 years over their life, over when they were supposed to be culled. These ones have not been good, and these ones were actually free range hens, so they weren't even in cages. They were in, I guess, sheds and then let out to free range. But I've had all manner of issues with them. So I lost one. She just dropped dead. She fell off the perch, dead as a doornail. Never saw it coming. And then these past 2 both got peritonitis, which was probably caused by letting in an egg internally and then getting infected. So yeah, it was really sad, and you kind of feel like you've done something wrong when you lose these ex-battery hens. But all my other hens, so all the hens I've ever hatched out myself, are completely healthy. So there's no reason for these ex-batteries just to be dying because of like poor management or something. I think it's more that they've had just a really, really tough life, stressful life, and even though they'll have been vaccinated and inoculated against lots of diseases and things, they've been bred biologically to lay lots of eggs, so their bodies can't cope with such a prolonged life, which maybe is one of the reasons why some do get culled so quickly, not only because of the egg production issues, because at 18 months they start laying less eggs, but because we've bred them to such an extent they just don't really survive much longer. Which is very sad. So, but I've still got 2 and they're feathering up really, really nicely. So I should be happy that there's 2. And even though I've lost those 3 girls, they would have been culled way back in June, actually in May. So they got June, July, August. So they got 3 extra months of life, which is all good. So yeah, it's been busy, and I'm hoping those grow lights are going to do well. As you can see, they're still shining in the background. I wanted to get clear grow lights because it does look, they're a purple glow, but they're red and yellow, they're red and blue lights. So Active Bros is asking, where did I get the grow lights? They were from eBay. So they were £16 for adhesive strips. So they come in a packet of 4 adhesive strips that you just peel off and you stick them up. They were £16 each, but they had an offer. So whenever anybody make an offer on eBay, I make an offer. So I ended up getting them for £13 each. So I got 2 sets. And then, as I said, I added them to some IKEA shelving, which was £9.95. So far, the grow light system has cost £36, which I don't think is that bad if it works. I have no way of raising or lowering the lights, so I'm hoping enough light level is going to get down to them. So yeah, so we'll see how it goes, but I'm hoping it will work because Britain is fairly turbulent when it comes to weather. Oh, there's a hello moth. It's because I've got the back door open. Where did I get the hens? So the ex-battery hens, they came from a local farm. I got them through the British Hen Welfare Trust. So they organise rescues, and I've rescued battery hens before. Again with the British Hen Welfare Trust, and it's not been a problem at all. But this batch of hens that were rescued, just I should try and contact a couple of other people that got them actually and see how they did, because this batch from me, they've been really unhealthy. Um, and it's just sad when you rescue them and they just don't last very long. Whereas I've still got two ex-battery hens that I rescued 3 years ago, and they're feathered up and they're laying and they're great. So Brian is saying, I sit on the fence as to the use of grow lights. Well, yeah, I mean, I've never used them either, but I just wanted to extend the growing season, and I wanted to be able to grow um, like otherwise in hardy frost tender crops inside. So I don't know how it's going to work. I'm not growing them as seedling starters or to get plants going, because I'll just use the greenhouse or heated propagator for that. But through the winter, I would like to be able to grow some frost tender plants and stuff inside. Yeah, exactly. At this time of year, there's not really an issue at all. As I said, I've just set it up for now because I want to test it out and see how it goes. And I want to do some microgreens as well. And microgreens, you do really need like an inside growing space to do them. So I'm just going to test it out, and then I'm gonna when the days start getting shorter and the temperature is really dropping, I'll probably start doing a few little bits and pieces inside, as well as doing the outside stuff as well, because I'm still going to be doing winter crops. So I'm still going to be doing all my kale and my chard and my winter lettuces. I've got a couple of things like Arctic King. I've got another one. I can't remember what the other one is, but I've got Arctic King and another one which will be good outside lettuce. I'm not going to do pak choi this year because I've done it the past 2 years. Don't particularly like the taste. Nobody particularly wants to buy pak choi. And I always find that I just don't harvest it quickly enough. It goes to flower, it gets wasted, so I'm not going to bother. Good evening, Petra. Welcome. Winter density, that's it. So I've got Arctic King, and winter density. Neither of them worked very well last year, but I think that's because I started them too late or they didn't germinate or whatever. So I've bought some new packets, so I'll get those going in the autumn. So I say the autumn, like the autumn's in a couple of weeks technically with September, but hopefully we'll get to October maybe I'll start them, because I've still this is bad. I've still been planting some summer stuff, so I've still got some beans that are only like this big, and I've still got some squashes that are only just producing their first flowers. Active Bro says you should get ducks. I know, I really would love ducks. I really would. But there are some issues. Space. I really don't have a lot of space because I filled it all up with chickens. Now, in the past, I had been thinking about mixing them with the chickens. But there are all kind of reasons why you shouldn't really. And the other major issue was last year we had the avian flu issue. And the avian flu issue meant that everything was in lockdown, and all chickens, or all poultry, so my chickens and my quail, all had to be kept indoors. And they weren't allowed outside at all. So runs had to be covered in tarps, all the food and water had to be done inside. My main layers flock, which was about 30 strong at that time, they need to go outside because there's not enough space for them in their indoor quarters. And they were in lockdown, they weren't allowed to come out. And one of the rules of the avian flu restrictions from DEFRA was that ducks were not allowed to be kept with chickens. They had to be kept separately. And I think that's because the ducks and the waterfowl were more prone to the avian flu virus. So the problem I would have if I did get ducks and I mixed them with my chickens is if the avian flu came and I had to go into lockdown, technically I would then have to destroy all my ducks because I wouldn't have anywhere to keep them separately. which would be horrible. Because, you know, when I start them, I want to have a breeding line. I want to keep Muscovies and I want to keep Pekins, because Pekins are really good for hatching out and they grow quickly. So your hatch to ready for cull for meat is really quick. So I guess I could do Pekins, a few Pekins each year, because I could use them all for meat birds. But yeah, so they're the main issues, the avian flu that's in the back of my mind, because I always think, now we've had it once, I just think it might become a common occurrence where we're getting it every single year. Evening, Renate, welcome. So Brian's saying, would that be because of bird droppings in the duck pools of water? Yeah, it could be. And I mean, ducks and poultry are pretty darn mucky. I've never kept them personally, but all my friends that have kept them say they are horribly messy. They just get everything absolutely soaking wet. Whereas hens are mucky, but when it comes to water, they're okay. You know, you can keep hens in a deep litter house and keep it dry and it'll be all right. But ducks just get everything so wet and drenched and gross. And they do require water, so I suppose, yeah, there's the problem with the wild bird droppings falling into the water. And then ducks, as we all know, chickens are quite particular in what they eat. So if chicken poo or something gets into the chicken feeder, they won't actually eat it. Whereas ducks, as we all know, they'll just sit in the water and, is it called drabbling? Where they put their bill in and they sort of go along the water. So they can probably draw up all sorts of nastiness into their bill. And chickens also have a pretty good immune system. They are pretty darn hardy things. I mean, there are some things that really get them and they go downhill fast, but chickens are pretty tolerant, and you can do a lot to a chicken, and a chicken can get through a lot of illness and it'll go down, it'll survive it. I'm not sure how well ducks cope with that. So we will have ducks on the farm, definitely. But yeah, I'm not sure. I just haven't got the space here. Renate saying, so not all ducks really need a pond, and oh, my chat's, oh, there we go. Not really, you need to change the water a few times a day. Yeah, exactly. Kalki camels and runner ducks. Yes, and I know some people that have had little. Well, I use a sandpit, so I use a children's sandpit as my dusting bath for my chickens. But I know that some people have used those sandpits as little duck pools. But again, also it's the added maintenance of having to go and wash that thing out all the time. And again, I don't have an outside tap here, so trying to constantly put more water in, wash it out, be a nightmare. Yeah, so I think ducks will have to, as much as I would like to keep ducks, I think they it's just, we haven't got the space, sadly. Although, cool ducks. Well, I know, I do love cool ducks as well. The problem with cool ducks is, as their name says, they cool a lot. Which my neighbours already put up with chickens. And this is the thing, I really want guinea fowl. But I've heard that guinea fowl are like the guard dogs of the poultry world and make so much noise. So I'm not allowed. We went to the poultry auction last Sunday, and there were some guinea keeps there, and I was desperately tempted. But yeah, they make so much noise and cool. And that's another reason why I was thinking about Muscovies, because Muscovies are quite quiet. They don't really make a lot of noise. But then they're quite a big duck. And I always remember the guineas. My granddad had some guinea fowl, and I think that's where I've got this kind of love relationship for them, because they were always completely wild. I mean, I think he bought these guineas on a complete whim, and they basically just flew away. But because the farm was 40 acres, they just lived in the hedgerows and things. But he never ever got an egg from them. And he never managed to catch one, to eat one, so they probably only survived a few years, and then they were eaten by foxes and things. Brian saying nothing cools more than Barry. Actually, I think you're about right. I think a cool duck could not outdo Barry. He is. I've never met a cockerel that makes more noise. He's ridiculous. He hates me as well. So I think as soon as he hears me, he starts crowing. Then he crows all day. I mean, I think one day I might catch my neighbours in my garden, like, because he's a nightmare. Barry is a hot mess. Barry is such a hot mess, but we love him because of being a hot mess, and I'm excited about his babies. We need to cross our fingers and hope that they actually hatch, because only one so far. So if you missed the beginning of the live stream, one baby, and we're on day 21. So there's one baby that came out yesterday and pipped 2 days ago, and there is one more pip. And there is also some knocking, but I don't know whether the knocking noise is coming from the pipped egg or from another egg. So we have to keep our fingers crossed, because there are 10 eggs in there. So only to have one baby would be rather upsetting. So we'll see how we go. Hi, Alfie. Yeah, I know, we want mini toasted marshmallows. Although they don't molt into those colours till later, but yeah, I want loads of them. I want next week to be able to have a little handful of baby Barry chicks. Brian said the chances are if you got rid of Barry, the neighbours might complain. They might breathe a silent sigh of relief. I've been very lucky here. Nobody has actually complained at all, and I'm always wary of saying that in case the next day somebody's knocking on the door. Shut your cockles up. But everybody's been really, really good about it. And I think that's because I do try and keep the noise down. They don't crow at night. I don't put them outside to at least 8:30 in the morning. And then in the longer summer nights, I used to shut them away at 9. So there was no crowing between 9 p.m. and 8:30 a.m. But I always think, oh, maybe Barry just crows at the sound of my voice, but I don't think that's true. I think actually probably when I went out to work, Barry just crowed all day. But we'll see. But everybody loves them around here, and also eggs help. Give a few eggs away to your neighbours, and they kind of like it. And also, we have a couple of really loud neighbours as well that we have. Yeah, Renate's agreeing with that whole egg situation. Giving them away really helps. But we also have a couple of neighbours around here that are really loud themselves. So there's a couple of neighbours with dogs that bark a lot. And I know they've had issues with the council, and there's a couple of households that like to have parties midweek in the evenings and stuff. So I always think maybe they just, the same way that I just don't complain about their noise because I know I've got my noise, I'm hoping that they're doing the same. So everybody's kind of like, right, well, I won't tell on his noise because then he might tell on my noise, and then it's going to go back and forth. So hopefully we'll be all right. But it'll be nice when I can go to the farm. We'll be actually on farmland, and I can leave the chickens out all night in, coops, safeguarded against foxes. But I won't have to shut the cockerels away. So let's hope. The Active Rose has just said, I hatched 37 chicks from my broody hens only. That's really good, because I found that broody hens, I only hatched 2 lots of chicks from my broody hens here, and the first lot she had 7 eggs, all fertile. She only hatched 3 because I think she wasn't sitting on them properly. The second lot she hatched 4 and she killed 1. So I haven't ever had a lot of luck with broodies. Next year I may do some broodies on eggs, because I've had some really bad broody problems this year in terms of just going broody and being broody for ages. And the only way really to break a broody once she's really started is to give her eggs. So next year I may shove some eggs under my broodies just to get them going through the process, because otherwise they're just sat there and they get out of condition, and they poo a lot, and often if you leave them in the main coop they're sitting on eggs and they're breaking them. So I might try and give them a purpose next year. Brian, what's Brian saying? I used to have a male Corona canary. It used to sing 4 a.m. every morning. My dad was always on edge with it, so I got rid. Our neighbours complained because they couldn't hear it anymore. Well, canaries do sound really nice. I would love a canary, but I can see why your dad in the house might have been a bit annoyed. I can't remember whether I told this story before last week, but I used to have, when I was a kid, I was allowed to have like flights and aviaries and things in my bedroom, and I had a ton of finches. And my best friend had diamond doves. And my dad was really like, oh, I don't really want diamond doves because they're going to coo. And I was like, no, it'll be all right. They only coo during the breeding season. You know, it's only when the male is attracting the female. They will only coo during the breeding season. Turns out the breeding season is 365 days a year, especially when they're kept inside. And he had the flu one winter, and he hated it. He said if he hadn't felt so bad about the flu, he would have got out of bed, crawled into my bedroom, and killed the blimmin' things. So after that, they were kept outside. But yeah, I would really love a canary. I mean, there were some at the poultry auction last week, and I was thinking about what price I would pay, but actually there was a reserve of 20. They went for like 37 for a pair. And they weren't even the best looking canaries in the world either. They were like the, I don't know what you call them, they were like yellow, but also with the green and brown striped on them as well. So they were like a mix. There was also no discussion of whether they were a true pair, 2 males, 2 girls. So yeah, I didn't buy them. But talking of the poultry auction, I did sell chickens. So for the chickens from Chick Check, I had, how many pullets did I take? 4, 5, 6. So I took 8 pullets from Chick Check and I sold 4. So all of the white ones sold. So I had 4 white ones. They all sold. I came home with the other 4. Nobody likes black chickens. Maybe they just don't show up in the boxes properly, but nobody liked them. So I brought them home. I'm going to a tabletop sale next month, the Mid-Essex tabletop sale, so I'm going to take them to those. I also took some zebra finches with me, and surprisingly, the zebra finches outsold the chickens. Go figure. I sold the zebra finches, they were all males, I had 8, I sold them in 2 boxes of 4, 4 each. Now, normally finches do not sell well at these auctions, so you could, if you know, a box of zebra finches, 4 male zebra finches would probably go, I only put a reserve of 5 on it, and I was expecting it to go for maybe 8, £2 a bird. It went for like triple that, each box. So it completely outsold the chickens. So I went to a chicken auctionery, sold finches, made more money than chickens. That's auctions for you people. That is auctions. But it was good because I came home with enough money to cover the feed for the next few months. So that's all good. Plus it was fun. What's the matter? Oh god. So I'm looking after 5 dogs. So I've got my 2 dogs and I've got another 3 dogs at the moment. And one of them has just started barking and now they've all gone crazy. It's alright. Hang on. Jude. Come on. It's alright, Jude. Come on. Hopefully they'll settle down. I knew something like that was going to happen. But so 2 of them are going home on Monday. So I've only got 5 tonight and tomorrow. And then I'll be back to 3. And then I've just got the Labrador and my 2 girls. So it's a kind of a madhouse. Because I've got the 5 dogs. I've got a brooder of quail chicks. I've got an incubator of chicks hatching out. I've got the grow lights. I've got the birds. It's all a bit mad. So Robert's Farm is saying, would you get fantails? And at my last auction I sold a cockerel but no one bought my black hens. Yeah, there's something against black hens. I don't know what it is. And also, I tend not to take cockerels to this auction because it's a local auction and there are a lot of takeaway restaurant owners that go and the cockerels sell for really low. So you know where those chickens are going. Those cockerels are going straight into chicken kormas. So I tend not to sell the cockerels there. I tend to try and sell cockerels privately to see what's going to happen to them. Hi Dennis, thanks for stopping in. It's a proper zoo, Renate. Alfie's like, what dogs? I have a collie and 2 Yorkshire Terriers. So I have 2 staffies. So I have 1 pure staffy, a rescue staffy, and then I have a rescue staffy cross Ridgeback, who is a nutcase, a beautiful, lovely, a loving dog, but she's really, really intelligent. She pushes the boundaries a lot, so we have to be very disciplined with her. And she's a bit funny with other dogs, so she's a wonderful dog, but compared with our first rescue dog, she has a lot of work. So I've got them, and then I'm also looking after a Labrador. I'm looking after a Norwegian Boohund, which is like a mini husky, and I'm looking after a Springer Spaniel Jack Russell Cross. So it's all a bit manic. Luckily, they all know each other. They all get on really well. Just the Norwegian Boohund is hates cats, and I have a cat. She's got more used to him now, but I would never allow her to be in the same room as him on her own. So she is outside at the moment because she doesn't have a garden at home. And she's just sitting out in the dark, guarding everything. And then when she comes in, she goes into a crate. Brian, here's a madhouse with a wife and a daughter. Well, yeah, 2 women, you're a bit outnumbered. Robert's Farm. At my auctions, people want birds for nothing, especially in Wales. Like hens sell for £3. I sold my cockerel for £4.50. Yes, so that's the same here. £4.50 would be a good price. At our local auction, they sell cockerels starting at £2.50. Last week, there must have been a really nice cockerel that everybody wanted for breeding because he went to £41, which is unheard of at this auction. Even for a hen, this was for one cockerel. So some people must have wanted him for breeding, but in general, the cockerels go for £2.50, which is why I don't sell my cockerels. If I've got excess cockerels, I'll cull them myself and eat them myself because I'm not going to take them down to the local market, sell them for £2.50, and then you don't know how they're going to be culled, what's going to happen to them. So I just keep them here. I've reared them, I'll cull them, I'll eat them. £2.50 is not worth it. So Marvin is asking, hey, can you give me any tips for growing tall buddleia bushes? Yeah, don't prune them. So buddleia bushes flower on the previous year's growth. No, that's completely wrong. Buddleia bushes will grow, but then they'll grow on this year's growth, but that growth won't come out from the base. It will come out from where they've stopped the year before. So most people, to keep a buddleia bush under control, you can really be brutal and you can prune tons off it. If you're wanting tall ones, what I would do is I would select 2 or 3 stems that you want to keep. So you have your main trunk with 2 or 3 stems, and then at the end of each year, top them to create more shoots coming out the sides, but don't take too much off. And you'll find literally in 2 or 3 years, they'll be gigantic. And that's actually something that I'm going to be working on at the farm as well, because I want to make a little white buddleia butterfly grove on the entrance to the wildflower meadow. And I'm going to be doing exactly that. So instead of keeping the bushes small, I want it so that you walk through underneath them with them kind of coming over the top. So I'll be doing exactly that. Either training them as a tree and trying to get one big stem to go up, or having 2 or 3 little stems and keeping them going up so they arch over the top. So Robert's Farm says, I just got my first silkies, they're pure white and the hen is so aggressive. I also got my first turkey today. And have you ever had ducks? I've never had ducks. I was talking about that earlier and I haven't got space to do it here, unfortunately. But I am going to be doing it at the farm. Well done on the turkey. What colour? I love turkeys. I would love to keep a turkey in the future. And I wonder if the silky's aggressive because she's broody. Is she broody, maybe? Brian, I wouldn't even consider keeping hens without a cockerel. It depends what you want them for. If you just want them for layers, I would be tempted not to have a cockerel because my cockerel has done a lot of damage to my hens in terms of plucking out all their neck feathers, plucking out their back feathers where he's treading them, causing a lot of noise, chasing them around, and you'll find that some hens just don't want to be mated, and in that case your cockerel will just literally grab them by the neck and hold them down, and it'd be quite nasty. So there's pros, obviously, for hatching eggs, and having a little harem of chickens, which is nice, with a cockerel and then several hens. But if you just want them for laying, I would be tempted not to bother. Alfie says, yeah, my buddleia is absolutely massive. Yeah, they get huge. And I find that often they take a couple of years to get going, and then once they have established themselves, boof, They get so big so quickly. Yeah, and the other thing is, if you don't prune them, all the flowers are way up there and there's nothing on your level. And you want to see the butterflies, right? And actually buddleia flowers have quite a nice smell, so you don't want them high up in the air. You want them kind of a bit low so you can smell them. Unless you're creating a hedge or a grove or something like that, in which case keep them low. Keep them high, rather. Robert's so she's not a broody silky, but she's aggressive. Maybe she's just settling in. I've got my Barber Danver hen is massively aggressive. She picks on everybody, even though she's like this big. She was in my chicken check-in video. She's this big. She will attack chickens like this big. She doesn't care. So hopefully your silky will calm down. And the turkey is a broad-breasted bronze. And he's ready for Christmas. Good-o. I would love to keep turkeys for Christmas, but I'd also like them to keep them for the eggs, because the eggs are beautiful. I saw a show maybe a couple of months ago where there was a farmer, they'd set up a turkey farm just to breed the turkeys for the eggs and to sell the eggs. Beautiful. Size, like about the size of a goose egg, dappled colour. It was lovely. So I might try that in the future as well as something else, because you know how tough farming is these days. So just growing turkeys for meat, there's a lot of competition. Growing turkeys for eggs, you might be able to establish a little niche market. So that's something that I'm going to try. Yeah, I agree, Brian. So Brian says, I like to keep buddleias low so I can see the butterflies. And I completely agree with that, because again, if they're too tall, you can't see the butterflies. And we need to be looking after butterflies and actually noticing how many species are coming, because they're, you know, lots of them are on the brink of extinction and lots of them are like massively declining. So if we can attract them in and then look at them and work out what we've got, that's all good. Active Bro says, one of my hens has gone broody 3 times this year and on her 4th brood. I know there are some hens that just don't stop. I've got a silky cross hen, and she has basically been in the nest box for about 6 months. She has broken her broodiness a few times for like 2 or 3 days, and I thought, yes, finally she's out. And then she's been back in. What to do? What to do? She seems perfectly happy. I take her out every time I go down there. I take her out. I mean, I could get a wire cage and try and reduce her body temperature, and you know, there are loads of things to try and break broodies, but I just think a hen that has invested that much, that she's tried to sit on eggs for 6 months, I ain't gonna break that. She is just hormonal. She is staying broody. I'm just gonna wait till the winter kicks in and she gets cold and she decides, okay, it's not time for rearing chicks. And then next year, the first sign of her going broody, eggs underneath, because I'm not gonna have this again like last year, like this year. So Renata says, my pole beans look completely dead. Most of all the leaves brown and were dried up. Going to rip them out, but now they're growing all green new leaves, even on the brown stems. I would be tempted to leave them, because they might still recover, and you might, it's only August, I know it's nearly September, you might still get a few flowers. It's too late, really, to start new plants. So I'd be tempted to chop off the dead leaves where you can, and then just leave the new shoots and see what happens. Because I know, again, you're on a balcony, you're balcony gardening, and so you might as well just, I would leave them and see how they do, because you haven't got a lot of space to try other stuff. So you never know, they might work. You might get a few more beans from them. Robert's Farm says, my black rock has gone broody and she doesn't want anything to do with the chicks now, so I'll have to take them out into a brooder. I'm thinking you're sick. Yeah, I know, some hens can be so focused on their eggs, they just don't care about the chicks. That's what I had earlier this year. Gertrude, my silky, she hatched out some babies. She killed one of them, and yeah, I had to take the others away because she didn't care. She wanted more eggs again. Paul says, and hi Paul, by the way, hi. Paul says, cut my butlers at the allotment today, white pearl standard and very dark. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I like those white pearl ones, and I've just taken some cuttings of a kind of a mauvey coloured one as well, which is very nice. Decided to do some cuttings tomorrow, and then I'm coming home. Checked out YouTube, found your excellent video. Oh, the Budlier video, thank you. I think using the dibber at the side is so obvious, but I never thought about it before. I never thought about it before either. I've just seen all those gardeners' world and stuff. They always do. I used to just plonk them in anywhere, but actually and there is a reason. I can't remember why the reason is, but to put them around the outside. Maybe the reason is just that the roots don't get tangled, or they're easier to separate. But I'm sure there was a more scientific reason, but I can't remember why. I'll have to try and remember for next week. So Brian says, if it was a lack of, with Renate's beans, if there's a lack of water, they might recover if they are given a good feed. So that's a possibility to try as well, Renate. Maybe put some feed in and see what happens. My beans were horrible. Horrible. I had tons of beans. The first got slugged, and the second got to maybe 3 foot high, and then went. So I got nothing. I've had no beans. So all these people that are having gluts of runner beans, I want beans. So I've got 2 French bean plants that are like this tall at the moment, and I have 1 runner bean plant which is about this tall. I don't think anything's going to happen. Especially if the weather had been nicer and warmer, they might have taken off. And if we have a September that's good, warmish, maybe going into October, there is a possibility that I might get some beans, but I think they're pretty much a write-off this year. Sadly, because I really like beans, and they're good for freezing as well. So Robert's Farm says, what breeds of chicken do you have, and have you ever had Pekins or Saramas? I have never had Pekins or Saramas, although they are lovely little birds. I have a mad selection because I'm completely... I just love chickens. I can't help what varieties I have. So, I have Barber Danvers, I have Silkies, and I have Ixworth. And they're my 3 main breeds that I sell hatching eggs from, and sort of are breeding for that purposes. Then I have an Iam Samani Pullet. Sadly, the cockerel died. I have a lot of silky Poland crotches. I have some Polands. I have 1 smooth Poland, and then I have 3 frizzles Polands. I have a couple of ex-battery black rock hens. I have a couple of hybrids. I have a 1 Moran hen who hasn't laid in ages. Yeah, and then I've got a couple of random brown garden hens, whatever they're called. Again, they were ex-battery hens. So I've got quite a large variety because I see new hens and I'm like, oh, I want one of those. Oh, I want one of those. So I've got to be careful because I need more space so I can have all these breeding pens of different chickens. Yes, that's budgies that you can hear in the background. I have a pair right up there called Io and Sunny, and I'm desperately trying to get them to breed, but they mate every day, they go in the nest box, 0 eggs, story of my life. Because I have another pair called Pluto and Venus in the kitchen, same thing, 0 eggs, and I have a pair of cockatiels called Hansel and Gretel, mating every other day, looking into the nest box, 0 eggs. So I've upped the protein, I'm giving them more greens, I've given them egg food. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I never had this problem when I was a kid, it was fine. But then I had them in flights, not cages. So I do have a flight that's in pieces, so I'm thinking of putting the flight together, finding another space in the house and putting them all in together and seeing what happens. Maybe a colony system will help. So Robert Farm asked, do I butcher the old hens that don't lay? No. I'm a bad farmer. I haven't really been keeping these hens long enough for them to completely go out of lay, so they are still giving me some eggs. And obviously the good farmer thing to do, the profitable thing to do, is as soon as your hens start not laying, you butcher them. And you either eat them at home for yourself as like, hot pots, stews, that sort of thing, or you turn them into dog food, And my friend that has a small holding does exactly that. She butchers all her old hens, she turns them into dog food, or she eats them herself. But I'm a bit of an old sap, and I get to love my hens and know my hens, and you know when they stop laying, I think I'm just going to be like, oh come on, okay, off you go to the retirement village. And I know that on the farm I'm going to end up having basically a retirement village of old animals that I just don't have the heart to kill, and that'll be the same for the sheep and the cows and things like that. So I'll probably, you know, you get to like a cow for instance. You get to know a cow, you see her babies, you breed her every year to get her pregnant and then have the milk, and then she stops being fertile. And I know that the farming thing to do is then she goes down to the abattoir to be turned into pet food. But you've got a bond with that animal by then. So that is the thing I'm going to find extremely hard. Sending young animals off to the abattoir that you're going to eat, so lambs and calves and things like that, it's fine. In my mind, that's fine, it's food. But the older generation that you've bred and you've become friends with, I'm going to find that tough, really tough. Renate said, did you consider the Bielefelder chicks? No, because I've never heard of them, and I'm going to have to... You might have to remind me of that in a comment later, because this chat will disappear after this live. But I'm going to go and look them up, because they sound amazing. Bielefelder chickens. Never heard of them. Gonna find out. Never know. Next week I might have some. Robert's Farm said, I'm looking after my friend's budgie for 3 weeks. My uncle used to breed budgies in a huge shed. He had about 60 and some quail. Wow, 60 budgies. That would be a lot of noise. But amazing. I used to go to, it was called Kessingland Wildlife Park. It's now Africa Alive. And they had a vast aviary. Vast. Probably the size of my garden. So like 170 foot, no, 70 foot long. And they had maybe 100 budgies in there. And they used to fly from side to side. And I would just stand there for hours watching. It was amazing. I don't think they have it anymore, sadly. Renati says, some hens don't go breedy till after year 3 and also keep laying to very old age, but not as many, but still. I think if a hen supplied you with many eggs, she deserved to live. I know. I kind of agree with that too. It's not her fault that she's stopped laying, that her biology has kicked in, and she's not laying anymore. And yeah, I think I'm going to end up being an old sap that does have a retirement village. I've already agreed with my husband that we are going to take on a couple of retired horses. Again, neither of us know anything about horses, so that's going to be a big learning curve. But we would like to give a home. We've got all the land, so we would like to give the home to a couple of retiree horses that don't need riding or anything like that. So I expect there to be quite a big retirement village in the future. I'm really interested about these Bielefelders now. Bielefelders. I guess that's the German name, right? So is it translated from anything? Or... Dennis says horses are expensive. I know. That's the only issue. Horses are really expensive to look after and keep. So that will be a long time in the future. We'll have to have the farm set up. We'll have to have our pedigree lines of sheep and cows sorted, and then we'll see about taking on a horse or two and see how they go. I know, Robert's Farm says, I don't really butcher old hens because the meat is hard and I do sort of name them and they all have cool personalities. Right? They all have cool personalities. Chickens, maybe birds, but they are not stupid. And they do have different personalities, and I love them for that. So, yeah, I'll find it very difficult to cull them. Alfie says, a cow's milk is more valuable than its meat. A hen's egg is more valuable than her meat. A sheep is more valuable for its wool than for its meat. Well, I know the problem... It depends kind of invaluable in commercial terms, though, because, a sheep's wool is 50p. A fleece will only sell for 50p. Compared with, all the meat, which I think is really, really sad. And that's why, you know, I want to kind of, when we're on the farm and we're shearing the sheep, I'm going to give the fleeces away to be used by artisan knitters and wool makers and things like that, because then they get a decent life rather than just getting made into carpet for 50p, which is horrendous, really. With the hen's egg, I would agree that actually over the life of a chicken, her egg will amount to way, her egg sales would amount to way more than she would be in meat. So, and a cow, and I guess the same with the cow actually, with the heifer, the lifetime of the milk value over a cow's life compared with the one chunk for her meat. And also as well, as she gets older, her meat's going to devalue because she's going to be older. So, which is why you sell your steers and you keep your heifers for milk. And that's how you end up with huge herds, because every single heifer you keep. And then if you get, you know, it's the same with lambs. Every single you keep. So you start off with 2 sheep and then you end up with 5. And then, like my friend has, by the end of year 3, she's now got 20 by complete accident because she keeps keeping all her ewe lambs. There's a scratching spaniel down there. Hi, lovely kid Japan, welcome. So he's just joined. Good morning from Japan. Came to see Renate and find you here. It's the first time in your live stream in your channel. Well, hello, welcome. I'm really happy to see you, and it's really, really cool that you're here from Japan. That's amazing. So good morning. So are you ahead? Is it Sunday morning over with you, or is it Saturday? I think it's probably Sunday, right? I'm looking for quails. Where did you get yours? So I bought. Where did we get our quail? We got our quail. We bought 4 Texas A&M quail from our local poultry auction. So they're the white quail. They're a crossed quail, so they're a Japanese crossed with an English white. They're white and they have a little black spot on their head. So we started off with those 4. And then I think I bred them. Yeah, then I bred them. And I was expecting more Texas A&M white, and I didn't. I got tons of golden, cream, like the natural colour, the brown colour. So I started off with 4, and they've actually just bred, and now I've got all these different colours. I need to get some new blood in, so I'm going to buy some hatching eggs next time we go to the auction to get some new quail. But I'm becoming really, really fond of quail, and like all the different varieties, because there's some amazing varieties of quail. So I think I might expand my quail species just as pets, like the California quail that have that little bob over the top. I'm thinking about maybe getting some of those in the future. Or are they called the bobtail? I can't remember, there's so many. So it's Sunday, 7 a.m. Cool, welcome. You're being disturbed by stupid guinea fowl. Have you got guinea fowl, Robert's farm? I love guinea fowl. Maybe you're about to tell us all that guinea fowl are awful and noisy and stupid and messy, but I have a little place in my heart for them. Right, so I have been rabbiting on for 58 minutes, so let's wrap this up soon. Thank you very much, lovely kid Japan. We've been doing it up for, you should have seen it when we got here. It was 1930s. This wall was clad, so where this cabinet is here, that alcove was shut away. There was a 1930s fireplace in here, and this wall was clad with wood. It was wood panelling the whole way along. So we basically ripped everything out in this house and started over. And we still haven't finished everything because we moved in and we ran out of money, so we haven't finished everything. But we're getting there, but thank you. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Renate, please add a link. I am from an England farm. I am not from an England farm yet. I'm currently just in a semi-detached, no, I'm not even in a semi-detached, I'm in a terraced house in an urban place. So I've got just a 3-bedroom terrace house with a garden out the back. Just doing all I can in this small space, and then hopefully we're going to move to a farm in the future. That's all right, Brian. I hope you're feeling a bit healthier now. I know you've had some health issues, so don't worry at all. It's nice to see you. Oh, so Robert's Farm has one guinea fowl that was thrown over the fence 4 weeks ago. I know they're really, really loud. So I'm going to wrap this up, I think. If you've got any questions, quickly ask them, and we'll do a few more questions if you've got them. If not, I will sign off because it is just after 11 p.m. here, and it's been a busy, busy day. So I think it's time. I'm going to sign off in a minute. Although those who haven't seen yet, look, I did my first canning. I canned some pears, and it took me what felt like a million trillion years to get 3 bottles. So I can see why some people don't do it, because it takes forever. But will this taste amazing? Who knows? We shall see. And will it last the year that it's supposed to? Again, we will see. Thank you, Robert's Farm. Have a good evening to you as well. Thanks, Renate. See you soon. Thank you, and have a great Sunday. Bye, Dennis. Thanks for popping by. Thanks, Brian. See you later. So I'm going to sign off. I will see you. I'll be uploading the smallholding diaries tomorrow. So all the stuff that I talked about in the beginning of the show, the updates, they'll all be in that, including the grow room and stuff. And then we'll have the Monday Magic on Monday. And then we've got a really, really cool chicken check-in on Wednesday. So don't miss that either. But I will see you. Have a great night. Sleep well. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.